Welcome to the Hunnid, Yard, Dash, Football Podcast presented by the Chiefs Focus Network, where you talks about the NFL from end zone to end zone and all Hunnid yards in between. Without further ado, here's you.
Yo, what it do? This is the 100-Yard Dash Football Podcast presented by Chiefs Focus. Yes, it is. Who? I?
You! Detective, you? Not you, you! Who? You! Who? Do you understand the words that are coming out from my mouth?
Don't nobody understand the words that are coming out of your mouth. And I am your host. What's happening? Look, it's been a long season. You've seen me sometimes, you don't see me sometimes. It is what it is. But let's get the matter of business out the way. This is the 100-Yard Dash, where I'm talking about the NFL from end zone to end zone and all 100 yards in between. You can find me at least probably once a week, normally on Wednesdays. Well, that was my phone. Normally on Wednesdays, but sometimes you can find me later or earlier in the week, depending on the schedule and so forth and so on and what have you. But I appreciate everybody listening. You can also get the podcast. You can find this live stream on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, and you can find it under Chiefs Focus. Now, if you want to get the podcast version because you're busy and so forth and so on, you can always find that on the under Chiefs Focus. We did a new thing this year. Chiefs Focus has all their podcasts under one umbrella. So just look up Chiefs Focus and you'll see where it says the 100-Yard Dash, and then it has an actual dash. And then you can see the name of whatever episode was the latest episode. So, without further ado, let's get up in it. That was weak. Let's do it again. All right. So today, a lot of stuff to talk about. Less games, but there's a lot of things to talk about. So, first we're going to talk about the division. Okay, everything wants to happen now. And the recap round about the coaching changes and how that's going to affect the NFL. Most teams have found their head coach, but some have not. We'll talk about that come time. So, without further ado, let's get up in it. So the how can I say this? So the Ravens beat the Houston Texans. My statement, I was going to say that Houston overachieved, which on some level I do believe that they did do. They did overachieve on many things as far as how far they went. In fact, I kind of compare that to the the Tennessee Titans run of 2019. Unlikely. I don't know if they'll be back. We love to say that teams like that will be back, but sometimes other things happen. And looks like they might be in a tougher division than we think next year. So you never know what could happen with Houston, but from all likelihood, from what it looks like, they could be back because CJ Stroud should be the offensive rookie of the year, and he's been nothing short of dynamic all year long. So, I do think that they will be back, but that remains to be seen because we can't he might not be back. Shoot. Um, as much as people love to say that they'll be back, you ain't the Terminator, my friend. You're not the Terminator. So, but Baltimore put a whooping on them, man. The Baltimore put a whooping. I I'm because they did tough, and that's the real deal. Holyfield. Baltimore does not look like they have too many weaknesses. You got to look and find the weakness. Like, it's not obvious, but it's there. Everybody has a weakness. It's there. You just got to find it. Houston did not find it. They lost. Score: Texans 10, Houston 34. We keep it moving. The Lions versus the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers had a lot of what do I want to say? How do I want to call it? They had a tumultuous season, back and forth season. That division was basically made for them to win. I actually had the Atlanta Falcons getting out of that division more than I had the Bucks doing it. I actually thought their Bowles would be on the hot seat. Turns out he wasn't, and he actually did well. Got him to the divisional round of the playoffs where they hit their head against the NFC's Lions. So the Lions are a story, one of those feel good stories, and they've gotten better every year under the kneecap biting of Dan Campbell. Uh, when we were at the first press conference, you couldn't tell me that you saw this coming. Some of y'all might have. Very few of you might have. And I say 5%, maybe 2% saw this coming with Dan Campbell. You can't convince me that you were one of the ones that saw this coming. I was a fan of Dan Campbell, but it was only after I saw him play. After I saw his guys play, that's when I saw that this could be something. It doesn't matter. But had his opening press conference. I thought I did, but I don't. And where he talks about we're going to smile at you, hit you in the kneecaps, or smile at you, uh, hopefully bust you in the kneecaps, and then or I let me find it. I got it somewhere. Don't worry, it's not far. At least I got the audio anyway. Maybe I don't. We'll keep it moving. But the Lions, they did their job. Jared Goff proved that he wasn't a bust. That he's not your throwaway version of anything. Because that's what it felt like when Jared Goff got sent away from the Rams. It felt like he was a throwaway, and Matthew Stafford looked like he was abandoning Detroit. A lot of stuff there, and that was too. But Jared Goff is finally back into the NFC Championship game, and it's interesting. It's interesting that they're in the NFC Championship game. Last time Jared Goff saw this was 2017, if I'm not mistaken. 2017, of course, they lost to the Patriots. We keep that moving, but yeah. So the Lions move on to the championship round. Let's keep it moving. All right. The 49ers and the Packers. Here's the thing about the Packers. Y'all know me. I've said it before. I'm not a LaFleur believer. Throughout this throughout this year, I have changed my stance on that. LaFleur was hamstrung by everything. it's just one of those things when it comes to being one of the guys that Aaron Rodgers is. You're going to be hamstrung, Super Bowl champion and all that kind of stuff. And so dealing with him and his play design, there's some things that you want to do play design wise that Aaron Rodgers can basically just crap all over. And I say it like that because that's just the way it is. Aaron Rodgers is the improviser. He does what he needs to do to get the yards or whatever, get the win. And that's all well and good. But sometimes some coaches want a little bit more control of the offense and you play within the scheme a little bit. And I saw Aaron Rodgers for the last 4 years of his career. And that's one of the reasons that I saw what Mike McCarthy, because Mike McCarthy allowed it to happen. And that's fine. But I don't think it was going to be successful in the long run. And it wasn't. But my Mike McCarthy beef is another story for another time. So one day I'll talk about it. Whatever. It is what it is. But when I look at LaFleur and Jordan Love, I thought Jordan Love was good. I did. And I didn't think at first I thought they were going to move on from him. But they gave him that year extension. So they saw something in him. And then I saw him progress as the games went on and the games went on. And of course he beat the Chiefs. That's my team. And yeah, I started looking into it deeper. Jordan Love's doing exactly what they wanted him to do. Niners where they lost. And then he got better as the game went on until that last play. I think it was the last play. The play that ended the game, his interception, period. His interception, it happened. He rolled out to the, he rolled out to the right, threw across his body to the left into triple coverage. He didn't see that third person, and that third person came flying in and intercepted the ball. Them's the breaks. I don't even remember who it was, but that man was double covered already. And then that third, I want to say is the linebacker, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it was Fred Warner or not. But Jordan Love will be better next season. It happens, but that pick will motivate him to get better. Well, look out for a show I'm doing with Philip, and it's called The War Room with PMAC. So look out for that. Should be starting next week. Keep it moving. But Jordan Love threw that across his body. And, for quarterbacks, that's normally a no-no. But now in this new league of quarterbacks, in this new era of young kids, like we're starting to phase the old guys out. And football terms, I'm an old guy, so don't get mad at me. All the elderly the senior statesmen, don't get upset at me. In football terms, I'm an old guy, whatever. But we're starting to phase out all the old guys as far as the quarterbacks and all that. Don't throw across your body, don't run and pass. All mobile quarterbacks are a thing now. It's the thing now, actually. Joe Flacco was a sitting duck, So when you look at the evolution of around like be able to get out the pocket at some point. And Jordan Love was able to do that. But when he threw across his body, he did something that I really hadn't seen all season. And that was uncharacteristic. And it looked like he was trying to do too much too early. You had time. He had plenty of time to march down the field. But, he wanted to win the game. He saw what he saw. He didn't see that third defender, triple coverage, intercepted. It was over just as quickly as it started. He tried to pull a Mahomes. I tried my best not to say that, but hey, he did. He was trying to emulate the 4th and 9 play. Yes, I know. Believe me, I know. But we keep that moving. The 49ers, they lost that one game 3 out of 4. They lost 3 out of 4. And then they never really looked back until they did. It was like the 13th game. Can't remember off the top of my head, but they looked unstoppable until after that loss, that losing 3 out of 4. They looked unstoppable after that. Then they lost that one game. And that's why Brock Purdy's in the MVP vote. Look, that's why Brock Purdy's there. And I don't think it's deserved. Brock Purdy is what Cam Newton would call a game manager. And I said Cam Newton because he called out a bunch of game managers. Brock Purdy's one of them, and I think he named him by name. But I also has to have I that with all my heart. Amazing play designer, and he just needs the right canvas in order to get his message out. And the issue, like Mike McDaniel, Andy Reid, Kyle Shanahan, and those are the 3 that come to mind as far as play design that can really draw their way around a game, right? And they just need the right person to fit in there to make their plays come to life, breathe air into them, as it were. Brock Purdy's been doing that, but you gotta key in, as far as your defense is concerned, you gotta key into his weaknesses. And the Packers weren't able to get any pressure on Brock Purdy. Not much pressure. They weren't able to. The 49ers did beat them, so kudos to them. And shout out to the defense for closing out a game when they needed to. So, without further ado, I had some other notes in here about that game, but time is of the essence, so we keep it moving. The Chiefs and the Bills, divisional rounds. So I felt like the Bills have been hanging on for dear life for a while. And with them hanging on for dear life, that has elevated their gameplay, elevated it to a level that they hadn't been playing all year. That desperation with the Buffalo Bills, I feel. They used that little hint of desperation and pushed it and used that to motivate them. And when they beat the Chiefs earlier in the not early, late in the regular season, I want to say that was game 11, 12. I don't remember. But when they beat the Chiefs, I saw Sean McDermott take that huge breath in like he was having heart palpitations. Real talk, because that was, if they had lost that game, that would have been what, 4 in a row or something like that, and he would have probably lost his job, or it would have been guaranteed that he would have lost his job. But then they kept stacking them up, and then they ended up winning 6 out of the last 7 or something like that, which is cool, which is great. East from the Miami Dolphins, who have been offensive juggernauts all season. So shout out to the Bills. They did their thing. McDermott, I almost called him McDaniel or McDonald, but McDermott was able to not let the fear of getting fired disable him to make bad decisions. He rose to the occasion. His team rose to the occasion. And here they just kind of got bested. And they were able to make it to the divisional round, and they were able to make 2 seed out of, against all odds. But yeah, they hit their head on the Chiefs ceiling. I wouldn't even call this a Mahomes game. They were in Diggs is due 27. Von Miller is old 23. Von Miller had 3 sacks all year? Anyway, we that's another topic for another time. The Von Miller signing, absolute dud. But anyway, we keep it moving. The Chiefs, I hated. Y'all know the Chiefs are my team. I'm with Chiefs focus, but I try to be as objective as I possibly can. I hated when they sat Kelsey. I hated when Kelsey sat out. He should have took that 1,000 yards and sat out after that, right? But he's been beat up. And then I realized since the Mahomes era, 2018, that brother has played a whole extra season of football games. That talking about 16 games plus the divisional round and the the divisional round and the championship round. So that's 2 games added on. That's 18 games every season since 2018. And then you take on the Super Bowl. That's another game for 2019, 2020, 2022, and then this year, hopefully. So that's another game added on to it. That dude just played a full season worth of postseason football. And he's 33, 34, something like that. Look, I hated that he didn't take that record a little bit further than he did. But as a 30-year-old person, a post 30-year-old person, some things matter a little bit more than others. And he is in a relationship. He has to think to make sure he got that rest. And when I looked at him in this game, I saw the rest. I saw what it did for him, and it was all. It worked out the way it's supposed to. Thank you, Philip. He will be 35 at the start of the 2024 season. It will be smart for the Chiefs to find a tight end through the draft to take some reps from Kelsey and allow a veteran to keep his legs fresh in 2024. Per Philip, thank you, sir. But Kelsey looks spry. He needed week 18 off. Now, I will say this real quickly. The Chiefs were not incorrect about their analysis of having a number 1 receiver. What they were incorrect about was who it was. It wasn't Kadarius Toney, but they had a 1,000-yard receiver, and it was. I still think you need to draft another receiver to either challenge or want to get him better. Rice has shown me that he is that dude. And you might not need to go grab another first-round wide receiver. It's just a deep wide receiver class. Identify your guy, make sure you go get him, but you don't need to reach. in the first round for a wide receiver. You don't have to. Rice can be your number one receiver. And he has shown me that over this postseason. Buffalo. Let me throw this out there. Buffalo. Rice has replaced Juju for a significantly lesser cost. Absolutely. For Buffalo, period. It's fine. That was the first time I really saw Sean McDermott crack over this heavy situation he had dealt with. And I knew at that point the Bills was going to lose the game. It was the same as the Texans in 2019 versus the Chiefs. And it happened to be in the divisional round. So that fake punt was desperation, and he shouldn't have done it. He was trying to take his shots when he thought he had it, but such is life. All right. Philip says Rice reminds me of Devontae Adams. If he can turn out to be that, Veach is the man. Let's keep it moving. Let's talk about championship round. The Lions at the 49ers. That's the first game of the day. It starts at 2 o'clock. And as far as I know, I think you know that more than anybody. I think you know that I believe that the 49ers can be had. I used to think they were the best team in the league at one point, but at some point I realized that they're beatable. And Brock Purdy looked all world. He's not an MVP, period. I said it. It is what it is. But the 49ers are formidable. Make no mistake. The Lions, formidable as well. Jared Goff, when they have the game plan into him and he understands it and he can chew it up and spit it out at you, he can spit with the best of them. Okay? He can spit with the best of them. The thing about it is Jared Goff and Brock Purdy aren't improvisers. Not they improvise, but not as you would need at this game. I don't. For Dan Campbell, but the 49ers always, I'm a huge fan of Kyle Shanahan. Can't stand his dad, but his dad tormented the Chiefs in the 90s. Anyway, can't stand his dad, but Kyle Shanahan, love him. And they find a way to make it here almost every single year. Almost every single year, they find a way to make it to this championship game. And I know 49ers fans are out here and they're tired of getting to this game and not being able to take it all. The Lions, to me, are a team that is very, very, very aggressive. The 49ers are the 49ers are very so when it comes to a brick wall, like when both of these teams hit a brick wall, I think the Lions are the ones that's going to be that Dan Campbell's going to say run through it, and he's got his guys to where they will run through that wall. While the 49ers are more going to either take it down brick by brick or figure out if there's a way we can walk around it. So I just believe that the Lions and the 49ers represent two different styles of football. The Lions are that old school mentality. If you can't ram through it, if you can't hit it, ram through it. The 49ers, we're going to either take this down brick by brick. They're relentless in that form. Um, two different styles, two quarterbacks who I think have a little bit of underrated in them. I'm not saying that they're both that great, but I am saying that they both have dynamics in them. So I want to see if that comes out in this game. I think where the Lions can be had is that defensive backfield, the safety area, the long ball, as it were. And where I think the 49ers can be had, that pass rush is not as formidable as they used to be. It is formidable, don't get me wrong, but it's not what it used to be. And if you can run right at the pass, wherever you think the rush is coming from, run right at it. Run right at it. And that's how you end up that's how you neutralize that pass rush. Jahmyr Gibbs, Philip says Jahmyr Gibbs is the X factor. What was I saying? You find where the rush is coming from, you run right at it, get your big guys out there, get Penei Sewell and all those guys. And by the by, Penei Sewell, I wanted him in that draft. I don't remember what draft it was, but there was no way the Chiefs was going up into the top 10 to get him. But Penei Sewell ends up being a huge plus for them. But then the 49ers have the offensive line of their own. Can't wait to see the battle between Gardner Johnson and and Deebo Samuel. Can't wait to see that. Looking forward to it with all my heart. So the Lions at the 49ers. Me too. I wanted Sewell. Yes. Penei Sewell out of Oregon, I think it was. He was a Duck. And but the Lions got him and they got themselves a dog. But I can't wait to see Chauncey Gardner Johnson versus Deebo Samuel. They're sitting there pointing at each other, you know, and we normally use the Spider-Man meme for like bad things or negative things. But the Chiefs, the Baltimore Ravens were number one in defense overall, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Chiefs are number 3, 2, 3, something like that. Where the defense seems to be the strength of the team. Baltimore's offensive production has been a little bit better than the Chiefs, but the Chiefs are top 10. So is Baltimore. And you got to realize that as a defensive unit, they say defense wins championships, but offense packs the seats. I'm interested teams goes. This is the Chiefs' first road game in the AFC Championship under Patrick Mahomes. This is this is Lamar's first time in the Lamar era for a home playoff game, as far as the championship round is concerned. Lamar will be the MVP of the season. I'm pretty dang sure of that. There's going to be a lot of debate about that, but I'm pretty dang sure Lamar will be the MVP, and that'll be 2-time MVP for him. The Chiefs have the 2-time MVP of their own, and it seemed as if Lamar has always been little brother to Patrick Mahomes. He came in, and teammate of Patrick Mahomes and Sammy Watkins. And that was the year that they beat them. And I want to say that was 2021. if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. But with these teams so evenly matched, I'm interested to see how it is. The defense is top 10. The offense is top 10. The special teams, top 10. They got one of the best kickers in the game. The Chiefs have one of the best kickers in the game. This has been more evenly matched than I care to want to see. But I look forward to seeing the battle between these two. Uh, I want this is what you want to see when you come to games like this. This is what you want to see. As Patrick Mahomes has been the MVP postseason, really, and you want to see it. You want to. And look, Baltimore is bringing out the hits when they get there. On Sunday, they putting uh uh Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, all them guys gonna be there. T-Pain doing the halftime show. What's the dude's name that helped us win the 2019 championship? Um, Terrell Suggs, former Chief, former Baltimore Raven. He's going to be there. Like, they're pulling out all the stops, which they should celebrate every ounce of this. But I look forward to this battle. Patrick Mahomes has felt the agony of defeat more than once. He's felt it in the Super Bowl and the AFC Championship game. We see the emergence it's going to be a battle. So, by the way, good point. Great point, Philip. Joe Cullen is a former Ravens D-line coach. He'll know how to deal with Ronnie Stanley and what Lamar would do. He does know that. So, that's a great point. But this is going to be one of the more evenly matched battles that I've seen, and it's going to come down to the wire. I do not believe there will be a blowout. It's going to come down to the wire if it doesn't go into overtime. So, we'll see what happens. I do want the Chiefs to win, obviously. Come on now. But there is a great chance that the Baltimore Ravens have to get to their second Super Bowl under Harbaugh. And I always forget which one it is. Jim Harbaugh? Yes, Jim Harbaugh, I think. We keep it moving. We'll talk about it's John Harbaugh. There we go. John Harbaugh. John Harbaugh coaches the Ravens. I always get them mixed up. Blame my head, not my heart. Whatever. All right. That's all I got for that. That's the look ahead. We just got done. We got done with the look back at the divisional round. We just got done looking ahead to the championship round. Next subject is the head coach vacancies. Well, when I say head coach vacancies, I meant to say they ain't vacant no more at all. We got coaches that are actually going to be names that are actually going to be coaching next season. These 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Jared Mayo, former All-Pro linebacker, played 8 seasons with the Patriots, 5 years as the team's linebacker coach. He was the next guy in line. 3 new black head coaches, yes sir. 5 years as the team's linebackers coach. A friend of mine is a Patriots fan. Shout out to you, the Mike. We got a podcast coming up tomorrow morning. So keep a lookout for the Mike and You podcast. Jared Mayo was not his first choice. He wanted Harbaugh. But I think Robert Kraft saw the writing on the wall last season with Bill Belichick. And then he just worked it out that way. And I think the guy deserves a chance. And I look forward to seeing what that chance brings to him. But he's in a wide open AFC East. That's a little bit of an over exaggeration. I apologize. Not wide open. But it is open because Miami had it all through the season. Miami had the AFC East locked up until the Buffalo Bills came and stole it from them. So they could still win that. So the Patriots are there. They could move on from their quarterback at this point and go get another guy. It's a lot of different routes that they could take. And I'm looking forward to seeing what exactly happens as far as the New England Patriots. He's just the head coach. New thing. Bill Belichick was their head coach and their GM. So this is new territory in a long time for them. This is like you getting back into the dating scene after not being married for 20 years. It ain't easy, but it can be done. So let's keep it moving. Antonio Pierce. The Raiders have hired Antonio Pierce as their head coach. Now, I thought the Raiders were going to mess this up because I had heard that Antonio Pierce had interviewed with the Tennessee Titans. I thought they were going to mess this up. Now, Antonio Pierce did not make the playoffs this season, but he was able to beat the Chiefs, which hasn't happened since John Gruden was there. And, he was able to I can't remember which team it was, but he was able to score 63 points against some team. I think it might have been the Patriots. But he was able to do that. And it looks like his team is dialed into Antonio Pierce. His team understands him. He embodies what it means to be a Raider. Ugh. And, the team believes in him. And it seems like that's going to work for him. And I look forward to seeing how that does with the competition around the AFC West. He does have to face Andy Reid twice. He'll have to face Jim Harbaugh twice. He'll have to face, the Raiders, the Chargers, and the Broncos. He'll have to face Sean Payton twice. So it's a gauntlet he's going up against. Big time stuff. But Antonio, shout out to now, for those of you that don't know, he's a 9-year NFL veteran. He's a one-time Pro Bowler, and he won the Super Bowl with the New York Giants. So Antonio Pierce is the new head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. Let's go to Brian Callahan. Brian Callahan is now the head coach of the Tennessee Titans. He was the offensive coordinator who oversaw the end of the Andy Dalton era in Cincinnati, and then he also helped bring in Joe Burrow and get him up to speed. So, Brian Callahan, Tennessee Titans, who they'll be, I don't know. Okay. I don't know if Tennessee is going to go after a quarterback or not. They got Will Levis. I actually think there's dynamics in Will Levis that needs to be like a lot of untapped potential there. But you could be getting better as far as a better play caller as an under center, you could be getting better in this draft than you already have in Will Levis. But we'll see what happens. I'm looking forward to it, to seeing what happens with Brian Callahan and what their offseason plans are. Again, Brian Callahan was with the Cincinnati Bengals. He was there during the Andy Dalton era. He saw the end of that out and then helped Joe Burrow be the guy who he is on offense today. So let's keep it moving to Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh has now left Michigan after winning the national championship, and now he is the Los Angeles Chargers head coach. Something he's built for. Championship football is what Jim Harbaugh is built for. Sorry, Jim Harbaugh is built for. Mr. Khaki is back in the NFL. Higgins. I wouldn't be. Philip says I wouldn't be surprised if Higgins is John Callahan next season. I'm guessing you're talking the wide receiver for the Bengals. I'm thinking you're talking about the wide receiver for the Bengals, and I'm trying to think his name. It's not Higgins, but yeah, I know what you're talking about. Mr. Khaki is back in the NFL. Jim Harbaugh is a winner at every level. So team over with the Chargers that's going to rival the NFL. And I ain't saying just the Chiefs. I'm saying the NFL. Please understand this. As you can see, the guys that are out are all the old guys. There's only one real old guy left, and he's with the Kansas City Chiefs. The younger guys are coming in. Philip says I wouldn't be surprised with 3 AFC teams in the postseason next season. That would be interesting, to say the least. So Jim Harbaugh is back in the NFL. He's back in the NFL, and he's ready to kick some butt and take some names. Let's got 2 more of these. Dave Canales. I think that's how you pronounce it. I hope that's how you pronounce it. Canales is now the Panthers head. Dave, he was like when they first got rid of Russell Wilson. Geno was talked about in the MVP conversation at that time. Early in the season, like the first 4 games he was talked about as an MVP. And of course he continued to pile on stats and be who he is, who he turns out to be. And then after Canales left Seattle, he went down to Tampa Bay as their offensive coordinator for this past year. So you've seen Canales take Geno Smith from the guy who you knew him to be, broken jaw, to a legitimate top 10 quarterback that year. You saw him take Baker Mayfield and the game plan that they had there and turn it up and turn it into what it is now. And Dave Canales is now with the Panthers. If the Panthers give him any sort of time, real time, then you might see something different down there soon. They got to get some talent on offense and defense, but Dave Canales is a great hire, in my opinion, a good hire, in my opinion, if they give him time. And he's a young guy who's never had a head coaching experience, so he's not going to need the keys to every door that you have in your stadium, but he will be able to get everything done and work hand in hand with the GM there. And I know they hired a GM that used to be in basketball or something like that. I don't remember the name. Don't get me started. I don't remember the names. Y'all know how I am with names. Last but not least, Raheem Morris is now the head. It's been a long time coming. He was defensive coordinator. Uh, he was defensive coordinator for a few places. 49ers was one. He was defensive coordinator for the Bucks. He was interim head coach a couple times. And so Raheem Morris is now the Atlanta Falcons head coach. I do think this was a move that like it emulates what it is to be in Atlanta. So I do think this is going to be a great marriage between Raheem and the Falcons. I look forward to seeing what that brings to them and seeing how it goes. So shout out to all the brand new coaches in the NFL. Doesn't look like Pete Carroll's gonna be back. Doesn't look like Bill Belichick will be back. Of course, next year, at the end of the year, there will probably be. But I don't know if the older guys are coming back. It's just time for new blood. It is what it is. I'm not trying to say ageism, but it is what it is. And you still got Mike Vrabel's out there. He's gonna have to take a year off. So listen, I have a thought. If the Cowboys can't make the Super Bowl next year, Mike Vrabel, keep an eye out for him. Bieniemy did not get his shot this season. So I don't know if it's in the cards for him. But I will say this. I was talking to my boy, talking to my guy, Mo, who has been on this show with me a couple times. And he mentioned having him having him coach offensive coordinator up with the Eagles. That would be great for them. Do the defense helped them. The defensive coordinator who was the head coach for the Broncos. What is his name? It'll come to me. Come on, man. I gotta look it up. I'm sorry. I won't forget it. Dolphins DC. There he is. Vic Fangio. Vic Fangio is the guy I'm talking about. Vic Fangio sounds like he's going to be the Eagles defensive coordinator, and having Vic Fangio and then on the defense, and then having Bieniemy on their offense means you got two basically head coach potential players. I mean, head coach potentials as your head coach, coaching both the defense and the offense, which leaves Sirianni to just be the guy that stands in front of the microphone. That's perfect. But the thing about Sirianni is he's got to stay out his own way. Stay out of there. But you wouldn't take the reins. You can't take the reins back from Bieniemy. That ain't happening. And you ain't taking the reins from Vic Fangio. So I think they need these two guys. So Vic Fangio is in as the Eagles defensive coordinator. They still have yet to find an offensive coordinator, but I do believe Eric Bieniemy will be a good guy to be in there. Mo Horton, my boy, agrees with me. And Sirianni pulled the same move that Brandon Staley did last season. Yes, I agree. But that's pretty much all I got for this episode. I appreciate everybody listening. There's so much going on. Even with less games, there's even more going on, more news and things to talk about. Please, please, please be on the lookout for a show that I'm doing with Philip, who's been in the chats. Philip Magruder. He works with me at Chiefs Focus. I'll be doing a show with him, PMAX War Room. He's very knowledgeable about the NFL, about Chiefs specifically, and we'll be talking about off-season game plans, and we'll be talking about drafts. There'll be draft mocks. There'll be so many things. We're starting next week, and we look forward to seeing y'all there. So definitely keep a lookout. I'll be back next week, and hopefully we'll see the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Again, that's all I got. I really, really appreciate y'all listening. And if there's nothing else that calls my attention, then I'm out. Deuces.